I knew the blind date was trouble the second she walked in, and I recognized her as my best friend's ex-wife. If I had stood up and walked out right then, my life would have stayed simple. Instead, I stayed in my chair, heart pounding, as she smiled at me and said my name like a question. Ben. Her voice pulled me straight back to college. I was 26 now, but in that moment, I felt like that kid again, standing beside my buddy at his wedding, watching this same woman in a white dress say her vows. Yeah, that woman. My best friend's ex. Let me back up a little. My name is Ben. I am 26, and I work construction in the suburbs outside Boulder, Colorado. It is not shiny work, but it is honest. My days start early. I wake before the sun, get in a quick jog in the cold mountain air, then head out to whatever site we are on. Some days I haul lumber. Some days I tie rebar or frame walls. At night, I come back to my small apartment, heat up ramen or a frozen dinner, and stare at the TV until sleep wins. It is a quiet life. Too quiet sometimes. I was in love once. Back in college, I thought she was it. We burned hot and then burned out. Fights, distance, words we could not take back. That ended a year ago. Since then, I have been careful. No dating apps, no setups, no big feelings, just work, workouts, and a couple of beers with old friends on the weekend. Maybe that is why I said yes when Emma started pushing. Emma works in the office handling project paperwork. Always moving fast, always talking. Blonde hair, bright eyes, way too much energy for 8 in the morning. One Wednesday, she caught me in the break room staring into my coffee like it could fix my life. "Ben," she said, "you need to go on a date." I snorted. "I need more sleep and a raise. A date is extra." She grinned like she had already won. "I know someone. She's smart, funny, and actually looking for something real. Worst case, you get free coffee and a stupid story." By lunch, she wore me down. "Fine," I told her. "Set it up. If this is a prank, I am never fixing your broken printer again." Sunday night. A vintage cafe on Pearl Street. All week I pretended it was no big deal, just coffee. But when Sunday came, I spent longer than I would ever admit picking a shirt. Plain blue button-up, clean jeans, boots without dust. The cafe was warm and cozy, old records on the walls, soft lights hanging from wooden beams, the smell of croissants and dark coffee. Quiet jazz played in the background. I picked a table by the window and ordered black coffee, trying to calm my nerves. Every time the door chimed, my chest tightened. Then she walked in, long brown hair, loose waves over her shoulders, a soft beige sweater, dark jeans, boots. She moved with quiet confidence. When my eyes reached her face, the air left my lungs. It was Lena. Lena, my best friend Mark's ex-wife. Her eyes found mine and widened. For a moment, we just stared. Then she smiled, nervous but warm. "Ben?" she said. I laughed under my breath, rubbing the back of my neck. "Yeah, guess you're my date." She let out a slow breath and sat down instead of leaving. I respected that. The waitress came. Lena ordered a latte. I wrapped my hands around my mug, using the heat to steady myself. "So?" I said. "This is weird." Quote. She laughed softly. "It is, but not the worst kind." We started safe. I told her about my job, long days, building a new school. She told me she worked at the university library now, helping students, running late study sessions. "It's calmer than my 20s, she said, "but it feels more like me." She was different than I remembered. Brighter, more sure. Her jokes were dry and quiet, but they hit just right. We talked about hiking trails, favorite breakfast spots, her rescue cat who hated mornings. Somewhere along the way, the rest of the cafe faded. Closing time came. We stepped outside into the cool night air. Streetlights glowed. The sidewalk was quiet. We stopped where our paths split. "Ben," she said, hesitating, "can I have your number? In case we want to talk like this again." My heart kicked once, then settled. "Yeah, I'd like that." We exchanged numbers. She smiled, soft and real. As she walked away, I stood there longer than I meant to, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I had no idea where this was going. I just knew a simple blind date had opened a door I never expected, and part of me already wanted to step through. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm, which never happens. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying the way Lena's eyes looked under the cafe lights, the sound of her laugh, how easy it felt once the shock wore off. My apartment was quiet. Usually that silence felt heavy. That morning, it felt lighter, like something had shifted. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Last night was surprisingly fun. Thanks for not running for the hills. I smiled before I could stop myself. I stared at the message for a second, then typed back. I was thinking the same. Want to go for a walk this weekend if the weather behaves? The reply came a minute later. Chautauqua Park. Sunday late morning. No blind date tricks this time. I promise. I laughed out loud in my empty room and texted back that I would bring snacks if she brought the trails. All week at work, I caught myself checking my phone more than usual. We traded small messages. Nothing heavy. She sent a picture of her cat stealing her pillow. I sent a shot of the school frame going up against a blue sky. Just small pieces of our days, but they mattered. Sunday came and Boulder showed off. Bright skies, soft sun. The kind of spring day that makes you forget winter ever existed. The Flatirons stood sharp in the distance like they were watching everything. I pulled into the parking lot early. Families were already out, kids running through grass, couples walking dogs, hikers heading for the trails. Lena stood near the trail marker, hands tucked into her jacket pockets, hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. When she saw me, she waved. "You made it," she said. "You doubting me?" I asked. "A little," she said with a smile. Blind dates ruined my faith in men showing up. I held up the paper bag. "Trail mix and water. I am at least trying." Her eyes lit up. Food is always a strong start. We walked the trail at an easy pace, gravel crunching under our shoes, wildflowers along the path. The air smelled like pine and fresh grass. We talked about our weeks, about work, about small frustrations and small wins. We found a bench with a view of the city below. We sat, breathing a little harder, not tired, just aware of the climb. For a while we were quiet. Then I asked the question that had been sitting in my chest. "How have you really been?" I asked. "Since everything with Mark." She took a long breath. "Hard," she said, "but freeing. I lost myself trying to be what I thought a wife should be. Leaving felt like failure at first. Now it feels like breathing again." Her honesty hit me harder than I expected. I shut down after my last breakup. I admitted. Work, gym, repeat. It felt safe. Empty, but safe. She looked at me in a way that made me feel seen. "Talking to you doesn't feel empty." The wind shifted cooler. I shivered, and it had nothing to do with the air. "Do you worry about him finding out?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "A little, but he has moved on. What about you? Does this feel like breaking a rule?" "Yeah," I said, "but rules written by people who aren't here anymore don't always make sense." She smiled. "Life loves drama." We walked back down as the sun lowered, light turning soft and gold. At her car, she looked at me, nervous but hopeful. "This was good," she said. "It was more than good," I said. She hesitated, then asked, "Do you want to do this again? Dinner, maybe, not as a trick." "Yes," I said, without thinking. "I do." Her smile was slow and careful. Then I guessed this wasn't just one strange, blind date. As she drove away, the parking lot felt too quiet. Mark's shadow still hovered somewhere in my mind, but it didn't feel big enough to stop me. After that, things moved in a slow rhythm that felt natural. Coffee, after work. Walks by the creek. Simple dinners. One night, her faucet wouldn't stop dripping, so I showed up with tools. We made pasta. Watched an old movie. She leaned against me. And it felt right. But the guilt stayed. One night, sitting alone in my truck, I stared at Mark's name on my phone. Old road trips. Late nights. His wedding. Her smile in white. I knew I couldn't keep moving forward without saying something. so I texted him, "Hey man, you free for coffee this weekend?" "I need to tell you something," he replied minutes later. "Sure." Same bar, Saturday night. My stomach twisted. I didn't know how he would react. I only knew that whatever came next, things were about to change. Saturday night came faster than I wanted. The bar Mark picked was the same one we used to haunt after finals. Dim lights, sticky floors, neon signs buzzing like they never learned to rest. Walking in felt like stepping into an old version of myself I was not sure I still fit into. Mark was already there, leaning against a high table with a beer in his hand. He looked mostly the same, a little older, a little harder around the edges, same half smile when he saw me. "Ben," he said, clapping my shoulder. "Long time, man." We talked about safe things at first, work, weather, old stories, laughed about bad roommates and worse road trips. For a few minutes it felt normal, like nothing had changed. Then my chest tightened, and I knew it was time. "There's something I need to tell you," I said. He took a sip of his beer, eyes sharpening. "That sounds serious." "I've been seeing Lena," I said. "We ran into each other by accident, a blind date. Neither of us knew. It started weird. Now, it's real." The shift was instant, his jaw clenched. He set his bottle down harder than needed. "Lena," he said slowly. "My ex-wife." "Yeah." He let out a short laugh with no humor. "Out of everyone, you pick her." I stayed quiet, letting him react. "You know what she put me through," he said. "One day she was in, the next she was gone. And you think you're different?" Anger flared, but I kept my voice steady. "I didn't plan this, but what we have is real. I wanted you to hear it from me." He stared at me for a long moment, then shook his head. "Do what you want," he said, grabbing his jacket. "Just don't come crying to me when she breaks you too." He walked out, leaving behind a half-empty beer and a heavy silence. The drive home was quiet. Streetlights blurred past. Guilt and anger twisted together in my chest. I texted Lena as soon as I parked. "Can you come over?" I told him. She replied right away. "On my way." When she knocked, I opened the door and she stepped in, worry all over her face. "How bad?" she asked. "Bad enough," I said. "He's angry. He said things about you, about us." Her eyes filled, but she stayed steady. "I'm sorry," she said. "I never wanted you to lose him because of me." "I didn't lose him because of you," I said. "I lost him because he couldn't see who you are now." She searched my face. "Does this change how you feel?" "No," I said. "It makes me more sure." She leaned into me, forehead against my chest. We stood there quietly, the world outside muted. After that night, nothing was secret anymore. She stayed over more. A toothbrush appeared in my bathroom, a sweater in my drawer. My apartment slowly became ours. Mornings started together. Coffee. Sleepy smiles. Evenings ended with simple dinners and quiet shows. It felt easy. Safe. But I noticed the fear in her sometimes. In the way she went quiet when the past came up. In how she watched me like she was waiting for the ground to drop. One night, sitting on the couch, she paused the TV. "Ben," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" I nodded. "I'm older than you," she said. "I have a divorce behind me. People will always see me as someone's ex. I keep waiting for the day you decide this is too complicated." She took a breath and looked straight at me. "So I need to ask you clearly," she said. "Do you want to keep dating?" The question hung between us, heavy and honest. I didn't dodge it. "Yes," I said. "I want you. The quiet nights, the hard days. All of it." Her eyes filled. "You're sure?" Quote. "I choose this," I said. "I choose you." She leaned forward and kissed me, slow and real. "Okay," she whispered. "Then we keep dating." Wrapped around each other in the quiet, I knew lines had been crossed. Friendships might not heal. But for the first time in a long while, I wasn't stepping away from something. I was stepping toward it. After that night, everything between us settled into something steady and real. Not loud, not rushed, just solid. She started staying over without asking. I stopped pretending my apartment was only mine. Her things slowly claimed space, not in a dramatic way, just naturally, like they had always belonged there. A plant appeared on the windowsill, its leaves turning toward the light every morning. Her sketchbook rested on my coffee table. A mug with blue flowers joined my chipped black one in the cabinet. My place stopped feeling like a stopover and started feeling like home. Our days folded into each other. I still woke early for work, but now I came back from my runs to find her half asleep in my bed, hair everywhere, stealing my pillow. Some mornings she groaned and pulled the blanket over her head. Other mornings she padded into the kitchen in one of my old shirts, waiting for the coffee like it was a ritual. Evenings were simple. I came home sore and dusty. She was usually there, sometimes cooking, sometimes curled up with a book, glasses sliding down her nose. We ate easy meals, pasta, takeout, toast and eggs when we were too tired to think. We talked about our days. We listened. We didn't rush to fix each other. Still, I could feel something sitting under the surface. It showed in small ways. The way she checked her reflection longer than needed. The way she went quiet when someone mentioned age or marriage. The way her hand sometimes slipped from mine in public, like she remembered something and pulled back. One Friday night, we were on the couch, a bowl of popcorn between us, some show playing that neither of us was really watching. She paused the TV and hugged her knees, staring at the dark screen. "Ben," she said quietly, "can we talk?" Those words always made my stomach tighten. I turned toward her. "Of course." She took a breath. "I keep thinking about time and labels and how people see me. I'm almost 10 years older than you. I have a divorce behind me. I worry that one day you'll wake up and see me as a complication." Her voice didn't shake, but I could hear the fear underneath it. "I'm not that guy," I said. "I know," she said. "I believe you, most days, but I've learned how fast things can change." She finally looked at me, eyes open and honest. "So I need to ask you something clearly," she said. "Do you want to keep dating, really? Not just passing time, not just comfort?" The room felt quiet in a different way, heavy but clean. "Yes," I said. "I want you. I want the quiet mornings, the messy days, the past that made you who you are." She searched my face like she was checking for cracks. "You're sure?" she asked. "I'm sure," I said. "We don't have to rush. We don't have to prove anything. But I want to build something real with you." A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. "Okay," she whispered. "Then we keep dating." She kissed me slow and gentle, like she was stepping forward instead of bracing for a fall. When she rested her forehead against mine, I felt something settle. Weeks turned into months. Her workshops at the community center grew. Kids who once hid in the back now showed up early, drawing before class started. She came home glowing. The school I helped build finally opened. I stood across the street watching kids run into the gym. Lena stood beside me, hand in mine, proud like she had built it too. We weren't perfect, we argued sometimes. About money, about schedules, about my habit of leaving boots in the middle of the floor. But we talked. We stayed. One evening, we drove into the foothills with sandwiches and a blanket. We sat on the hood of my truck, Boulder's lights glowing below, stars spread above us. "I almost walked out of that café," she said softly. "So did I said. "I'm glad you stayed," she said. "Me too." "We didn't talk about forever. We didn't need to," the quiet said. Enough. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that life wasn't done testing us yet. Life did not test us all at once. It did it slowly, in small moments that piled up until we had to decide who we were going to be together. The first crack came from the outside. Friends started to notice. Questions followed. Some were gentle, some were not. One night at a small get-together, someone laughed and said, "So how does it feel dating your ex-husband's friend?" The room went quiet. I felt Lena tense beside me. She smiled politely and changed the subject, but later, in the car, she stared out the window. "I hate that," she said, "being reduced to a headline, like nothing else about me matters." I reached for her hand. You don't owe anyone an explanation. I know, she said. I just wish it didn't follow me everywhere. Work got harder for her too. A colleague at the library made a comment about her starting over again. It wasn't cruel, just careless. But it stayed with her. For me, it showed up differently. Mark didn't talk to me anymore. Not a text. Not a call. Mutual friends kept their distance, like they didn't know which side to stand on. Some nights I missed him more than I expected. Other nights I was angry all over again. One evening, after a long day at work, I came home quiet and heavy. Lena noticed right away. You're carrying something, she said. I miss him, I admitted, even if he won't hear me out. She nodded. I miss who he used to be too. That honesty mattered. She never asked me to choose, never made herself the center of the story. She gave me space to grieve something that was already gone. Then came the moment that scared me most. One Sunday morning, she sat at the kitchen table while I made coffee. She watched me for a long time before speaking. I might get an offer, she said. A full-time position. It's a step up. More responsibility. That's great, I said, smiling. It's in Denver, she added softly. The word landed hard. That's not far, I said. It's far enough, she said. Commute would be long. I might need to move closer. For the first time, I felt the ground shift. This wasn't just feelings. This was choices. We didn't fight. We talked. Late into the night. About work. About distance. About what we were willing to bend and what we weren't. I don't want to lose myself again, she said. Not for anyone. I don't want you to, I said. I just don't want to lose you either. We sat with that tension, letting it exist without trying to fix it too fast. A week later, she got the offer. She came over that night, letter folded in her bag, eyes unsure. I haven't said yes, she said. I wanted to talk to you first. That was the moment I understood something important. This wasn't about holding on. It was about choosing again and again. We'll figure it out, I said, together or honestly, but not by pretending. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. Thank you, she said. That night, lying beside her, listening to her breathe, I knew this was love. Not the loud kind. The kind that asks you to stay present when it would be easier to run. But one question still waited ahead of us, one that would change everything. And neither of us could avoid it much longer. The question came on a quiet night, not when we were fighting or scared, but when everything felt almost too calm. Lena took the Denver job. Not because she was chasing something new, but because she trusted herself again. She found a small apartment closer to work. Not far. Close enough that weekends were easy. Close enough that nothing felt final. The first night she stayed there, I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, listening to a space that felt too big. I realized how easy it would be to let distance do what fear used to do, slowly pull us apart without a fight. Instead, I drove to Denver the next evening after work. She opened the door barefoot, surprised, hair messy, wearing one of my old shirts she had taken without asking. You didn't have to do that, she said. I wanted to, I said. We ordered takeout and ate on the floor. No furniture yet. Just us and cardboard boxes and a window that looked out over city lights instead of mountains. I was scared, she admitted. That you'd see this as the beginning of the end. I thought about that, I said. Then I thought about how every good thing in my life started when I stopped choosing the easy exit. She leaned her head against my shoulder. I don't want to repeat old patterns, she said. I don't want to disappear into someone else's life. You won't, I said, and I won't ask you to. Weeks passed. We found our rhythm again. Some nights I drove to her. Some mornings she woke up in my place before work. We learned how to miss each other without panicking. How to trust space without letting it turn into distance. Mark never came back into my life. That loss stayed, but it stopped hurting the same way. I understood that not every chapter gets closure. Some just end. One evening, months later, we drove back up into the foothills. the same spot where we once sat watching Boulder glow below us. We sat on the hood of my truck, wrapped in a blanket, the air cool and clean. "You remember what I asked you on the couch?" she said quietly. I smiled. "How could I forget? I was so scared you'd hesitate," she said, "even a second." "I didn't," I said, because by then I already knew. She turned toward me, eyes steady, no fear this time. "So do you still want to keep dating?" she asked, teasing but real. I laughed softly. "No," I said. Her brow furrowed for half a second before I continued. "I want to keep choosing you," I said. "Every version of us, near, far, messy, quiet. I don't know what the final shape looks like, but I know I don't want to build it without you." She smiled, the kind that carried relief and certainty all at once. "Good," she said, "because I'm done running from good things." Quote. She kissed me, slow and sure, and in that moment, everything felt aligned. Not perfect, just honest. I was tricked into a blind date with my best friend's ex. She asked if I wanted to keep dating. And for the first time in my life, I didn't answer from fear or habit or expectation. I answered from home.